Now, welcome back. Tonight we are on the topic of sex, but more importantly, sexual health and trends. Now, Razor TV actually hit the streets to find out what the men on the street think, and to find out a little bit more about how Singaporeans feel about contraceptives, and find out what they are doing behind bedroom doors.
Are you aware that condoms can actually reduce the chances of getting AIDS and other diseases?
No, actually I'm not aware of that. Yeah.
Okay, so do you use condoms?
Do I use condoms? It's a hard question to ask. Yeah.
Okay, but why condoms over other forms of contraception?
I don't know, maybe it's the safest way, and I think I think in the advert also they always talk about it, so I think I know it's the importance of it, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's not foolproof. Yeah.
So do you use condoms yourself?
Because I'm actually in a monogamous relationship, so it's pretty much safe. But you do have regular checkups, so it's fine.
Not 100%.
Do you use condoms yourself?
Of course, who doesn't? If you practice safe sex, yes.
Yeah, but why? I mean, there are also other forms of contraception.
Easier, simplest, just buy off the counter would do.
What do you think is the most effective way of preventing AIDS?
I think according to the it should be to be faithful kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you guys practice safe sex?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do pray.
So condoms.
Yeah, of course. We have to use condoms for safety because they say play safe rather than you just without condoms, because you might not know you get infected by AIDS.
I don't even do sex. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. If I have a partner, I do practice safe sex. Yeah. But now I don't. So, yeah.
What kind of contraception do you prefer using?
For me, actually I'm married already, so I use it's more easy one is condom, because depend on my wife don't want to eat the medicine, so I don't want to push her to eat.
Prefer to take the pills.
Why?
Easier. Cause is much easier and the feeling is different.
What kind of contraception are you currently using?
Condoms. Yeah, mostly.
Why?
Easier to get.
Maybe pills. It should be always taken a part of the girls.
But why? Why should it always be part of the responsibility of the girl?
I believe that it should be both ways, girls and boys. But it's more on it's more on for the girls, because they are the one who gonna carry the baby, and they are the one who actually carry the baby and everything.
So you would prefer the female to take the pill instead of males using condoms?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we had some interesting comments
Very
over there.
interesting.
Yeah. So do you face comments like that when you advise people on contraceptive methods?
Well, there is the argument that I've heard that it feels better without a condom.
Okay.
And when the last person used that with me, I said, okay, but keep this in mind. The feeling is transitory. The virus is permanent.
So do people actually bear that in mind? I mean, or do they still want to have the intimacy or,
You really are dealing with a massive educational program that will have to work with the mindset. Okay? At one level, we have already discussed that we do not have a consistent sexual education program in schools. We do not have a consistent one. So, most times, the younger generation are exposed to stuff they see on TV, which is racy, exciting. The information is slanted one way. Okay? So you're not getting the facts.
Okay.
And then after that, if you read about it in the newspapers, it's scaremongering. Right? So that is a point in their lives where they're going to be really rebellious and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to stand up for myself, I am me, etc., etc. All of which It's not conducive to being safe.
Okay, do you find that this mentality where people always say it can happen to someone else, but it's not going to happen to me, is it very prevalent among, say, the youth of today, Yasmin?
I think it is. I mean, people probably don't think like they'll get cancer. It's just the same kind of notion. Yeah.
But have you had any friends who have like caught infectious diseases? It may not be HIV, but you know, infectious diseases
I know
or
a friend who
pregnant.
actually got syphilis, I think, or herpes. Herpes, yeah.
Okay,
And
so was
then
she freaked out?
He was freaked out.
Yes, he.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then when he told everyone about it, he was an ex-colleague of mine. So I think everybody started avoiding him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just let
Okay.
it out like then
Okay.
we just like okay, everybody just like stay away from me, go here, go away, stay away from me, yeah.
Okay, David, do you see a lot of cases where young people think that they're not going to get that?
I suspect so. I mean, I have to say that most of my patients will not be in the teenage age group. Most of them would at least be in their 20s. In Singapore, as you know, less than about 3% of people fall in that age group. But one thing I noticed about that video is how squeamish people feel about talking about sex.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is to me one impediment to the safe sex campaign. And then if you think about where people can get condoms in Singapore, you have to buy it from the supermarket or 7-Eleven, and that's usually right in front of the cashier along the long queue. Whereas when I was overseas, for example, you can get condoms from a vending machine in toilets, in a lot of public places, and it sort of allows better access. And often in this mindset, I mean, when you guys are talking about it, it's about HIV. But, for example, if a woman gets chlamydia, the chance of pelvic inflammatory disease and therefore future infertility should really be a greater concern. And once you get herpes or warts, you have it for life. They won't go away. It comes and goes. And so all those things probably may not sink in initially, and that's a problem, as a few of you have said. The transitory pleasure often overwhelms the fear of the future. So the safe sex message really should be a lot stronger and really shouldn't be targeted at the sort of right audience.
Okay.
I have one more question for David though. From a medical standpoint, is using the condom the surest and the only and the best way of protecting yourself from getting HIV infected?
Unless you are never going to have unsafe sex, and if you tell me, if you can swear that, okay, I will never have unsafe sex, I will never sin for a moment, in inverted commas, which people do have lapses. Other than that, it's probably the most effective thing you can have. Because, although per act the risk is not high, but once you get it, to you the risk is 100%. And almost every single patient that I have became extremely depressed and feel regretful, but it's often after the act. And when I try to explore with some of them how they felt beforehand, it was often about this risk perception. Risk is not high. Someone said to me that I would only have sex with you if I didn't use condom, and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
Okay, now we have some web comments here. So, all right, where should we begin? Gorgeous guy.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or are young people getting more promiscuous? I mean, the Tammy mobile phone incident comes to mind. What does everyone think? Don't you think it's a bit of a double-edged sword? On one hand, you promote the use of condoms, but young people become more promiscuous, which could lead to other problems other than STDs.
Are you aware of the Tammy incident?
You guys are aware of that video, right? That was circulating.
Celene, why don't you explain?
That argument about having condoms makes people more promiscuous. It's like saying that the more often people wear safety helmets, the more accidents they're going to get into.
Yeah. Okay. George,
What is that?
Well, I mean, basically what it comes down to is that the important thing, I think, is to teach people how to protect themselves and to basically make them aware of the consequences, potential consequences of their behavior. I mean, there's been research, for example, that has shown that if you know people who have HIV, number one, you tend to be, more open to them, as individuals, also you probably will be, more careful in terms of your own behavior.
So with all this education that's going on, why do people still shy away from using condoms?
And then, okay, let's move on to the second comment. In line with what you've just said. Sam Seng Kian says, using a condom is like wearing a helmet or seatbelt. Your chances of injury in a collision is higher if you are not wearing one. Wonder if we can make it mandatory to wear a condom just like wearing a helmet or seatbelt. What do you think of that?
The problem is enforcing it. Who's going to be in the bedroom to enforce it? And I don't think we want to go there.
You're going to get fined. Yeah, you'll beep once you put it on. Okay, but do you find that promiscuity among youth, the rising trend, is that an issue?
Come on, is it just youth or, everyone, you
I'm
can't
not
just
sure
say
one should
youth.
use the word promiscuity because, people have sex, right? If a man have sex, he's a slut. If a woman have a lot of sex, she's a slut. So the whole idea of putting judgment value on sex, that should be done away with, because I think now it's not quite true that Singaporeans are very promiscuous in that sense, because a recent survey by Health Promotion Board showed that only 4% of the Sec 3 and Sec 4 had sexual intercourse. It is more how many of them don't use condom in this casual context. But I think one must accept that sexual intercourse is part of growing up, and it is part of the sort of progress to adulthood. And how do you make it safe in the process? Because I think once you are married and for the first decade or so, when things are all hunky-dory, that's probably okay. But before that, along the way, going through the dating process, going through youth, going through experimental phase, I think that part, people need to be empowered. I think a lot of it is, how do you get people to do it? It's all about empowerment. You want to have fun, but you don't want to have pregnancies, you don't want to have STDs or HIV.
Yeah, but implementing it, even, getting people to feel empowered, that's not an easy thing to do, is it?
I don't see a lot of, really effective public health campaign as such, because all I see is, a lot of things that I can see in the media is about abstinence and be faithful, pretty much what George has said. And I think, and I don't know whether it's cultural and people feel squeamish about talking about sex and accepting that sex does occur. And so, a lot of this may not even come from, well-meaning people. Sometimes parents refuse certain things to be promoted to the children, because they feel that you are by talking about condom use to my kids, you are trying to teach them the promiscuous.
Okay,
cool. All right, now it's time for a break, but don't go away, especially if you are interested to know what a day in the life of an HIV positive patient is like.